back with an amazing tool for y'all, and it's called Revyl. Revyl is by far the best mobile testing tool that you can use while you're building your iOS or Android apps. You can use their CLI tool to run all end-to-end tests that you need for your app, all with Revyl, and also get it ready for the App Store with their open source Greenlight tool. And with their Atlas tool, you can see all the screens in your app, making sure design and engineering is always on the same page. If you're adding more people to your project, you absolutely need to be using Revyl. Okay, so now we're going to be diving into the Atlas tool from Revyl. And what the Atlas tool allows you to do is really see all the flows in your app, share it with your teammates, and make sure that everyone knows where each screen is. It's a modern Figma alternative. It's an AI native Figma alternative. I can add it directly to Linear here if I want to change something. Here you can see that I can merge some screens. So if I got some duplicate identities here, I can just merge them. I think the graph is really sick. This is probably one of my favorites. So you can see where all of the flows lead. So if we go here, this is the beginning of my onboarding for my app called, it was originally called OpenChef, but now it's called Cook Vector, which is launching soon. So Cook Vector is a computational gastronomy app that allows you to find new flavors that you want to cook with. How exciting is that? So this is the onboarding I have here. You can see that we're just going to be showcasing what the app is, explaining what kitchen, what flavors does the person use most, and we can move forward. But you can see where each button press leads to. If you're a product manager, you can use this to sell your engineers. Designers explain their flows, explain what needs to be built and why. The reason why you want to use Atlas is to keep everyone on the same page and also just visually document how your app actually flows. And you can see in the bottom here, this canvas is an infinite canvas. Of course, as your app grows, the real estate here, what you'll need to cover, grows as well. And it's very easy to move around. You just use the bottom part here. You can also organize it just like this. They're categorized semantically as well. So you have home, search. So everything is categorized very properly here. I didn't have to do any of this. I didn't label this at all. Revyl picked it up all of itself, categorized it. It never asked me. So a lot of this is all automatic and it picks it up on its own, which is why I love it. You can also see if we go to the tests. So these are natural language tests that I've run. You can see I'm building my conversion funnel right now. So once again, you just tell it in natural language what you want it to do. Hey, optimize my conversion funnel based on X, Y, and Z principles. I want you to change this page to do this and that. Run the test again. Make sure that when a user taps this button, takes them to this certain page, it runs this all in the cloud. I can be on my phone with Codex using the remote Codex feature, build my iOS and my Android app all while I'm on a walk or I'm doing something else. So the most powerful workflow that I see for Revyl right now is you set up Codex remote. You have all the skills in the CLI file native on your computer. I have a Mac Studio that I have just for dedicated development that's always on. I don't need to buy a VPS. It's just there. So I have it and it runs 24/7. I can just hit it up with the remote. And if I get an idea, if I find a bug in the app remotely while I'm on a walk or somewhere, I'll just tell it to build it. It'll run it in Revyl and report back to test to me. But if I want to actually see what happened, I can click in here on the report and it explains to you what the test description is, what it actually is comprised of, which I gave it. It will take your natural language prompts and then segment them into steps here. So we have the validation, what is classified as a successful test. You get to set that. If not, the model will do its best interpretation and Revyl will build upon that and give you a successful test criteria. But what is, oh my God, so powerful about this tool is I can see the performance. I can see the FPS. If I'm working on animations, this has been an absolute lifesaver while I've been building custom animations, especially using Expo on Android. And some phones may be 5 years old, 6 years old, and I still want to have my animation be performant. Taking a look at this FPS here, CPU load, but you can also take a look at system memory and you can actually see in Revyl here, you can see the user defaults and a SQLite of the state of the app. So you can really debug it without even having to build it to a real or native device. The way I like to use it now is you can use it in a CI/CD process like I do too. So how I run it now, before I even give a build to a client or myself or anything like that I'm working on. This is my personal app, right? Cook Vector. So before I even test it on a mobile phone, it has to pass the Revyl CI/CD. It has to pass all the tests I throw at it in Revyl. That way I don't even waste my time building to my phone. I don't even want to pick up my phone unless it passes all of these tests. And since I've adopted this into my workflow, it's crushed all the errors that I would have encountered when I open up the phone. And I don't want to go through that annoying phase, right? I don't want to wait for a build. I don't want to wait for Xcode to go through. I don't want to wait to build to Android with Expo and all this stuff. Nah, I'm going to build it to Revyl. I'm going to have it complete these tests. And if it succeeds, great. I'm going to be all set to go. But what's really awesome is you get a fully time-stamped recording of what actually happens in the actions that were taken. So I can see the tap. I can see the component that was clicked, the success validation of the steps, and this completed all within 2 minutes. So there's also action overlays if you really need to visualize what was clicked and when. There's tap targets there, as you can see. So it's super sick, and that's why I really love it. You can debug it step by step and figure out what the hell is going on with your app, and that's why this is so powerful. But like I mentioned before, my favorite part of this is probably the performance metrics. In here, I'm able to see my entire sessions, and it tells you where it was done. So this is done through the CLI. So all I did was just say, hey, verify my conversion funnel is working end to end, and it'll go through the conversion funnel. There's even a quiz here that I give users, right? So it has to click all the correct buttons. It has to perform the correct swipes and button presses. And if it fails, it will also understand why it failed. We'll have Claude or GPT build a solution, give it again to Revyl, and it'll eventually work until it passes. But why this is so powerful is you're able to set long-term goals. So you just use /goal in Codex, build this entire PRDL, build this entire feature out, and then verify with the success criteria of Revyl. So until all the actual real on-device tests pass using Revyl, your goal is not going to verify in Codex. So you can theoretically, like I do, I have my Mac Studio on 24/7. I'll give it a prompt to /goal. It'll work all night while I'm sleeping, while I'm outside, doing whatever. And I'll just come back home to a completed feature, completed app, anything like that. And you cannot do that without using Revyl. Revyl completely revolutionized mobile development in the way that it closes the loop. It gives Claude and Codex hands and feet and a brain to literally build your app end to end and test it and verify it. Because we all know using LLM-as-judge, you're going to ask it to verify something, test it, or give you its opinion on something. It may hallucinate that, but it's not the correct way to validate for mobile. Because on web, we have Playwright, right? You can verify things on Playwright end to end. You can see the sessions. This is basically just Playwright, but for mobile, and 10 times more powerful in a much more approachable manner. The documentation is great. Check out the docs. They also have very lengthy GitHub repo for you to take a look at. And with the Greenlight tool, you're able to just verify that your app is ready to submit to the App Store. So now, as we've been seeing on the Apple App Store, all these apps have been taking forever to get approved. I know I've even had test flight builds take 4 or 5 days to get approved, just with a small incremental version bump. And Apple's far behind on that. So before you even submit to the App Store, I highly recommend you use the Greenlight tool. That way, you know if your app is against any of the terms and conditions and if it's even going to pass before you submit it to Apple. So the Greenlight tool from Revyl is incredibly helpful and important as well. Once again, with Revyl, you can use it in the CLI. You can also use it with GitHub Actions in your CI/CD process. If you're just a solo developer, the CLI should be great. You can, of course, set up loops to do it at certain times. If you want to use it on GitHub Actions, it's great for that too. I just had my own local CI/CD process to where I had any big PR go through. I just had Codex send it through all of the tests that I want to do through Revyl. Once they pass, I'm able to merge that PR into my main branch. Even if I'm just a solo developer, it's really good before you're doing like major cutovers that you should absolutely be doing this. And by far, once again, the best mobile device testing software on the market, completely revolutionizes AI agents and development as a whole.